Hi everyone, it's Laith here for Access Reel. We're down at Supernova again and we're chatting to J. Michael Straczynski. Thanks for joining us, or JMS as we fondly refer to you.
Or Joe, or Your Highness. Either one will work.
How did Sydney go?
I went very well. The fans were lovely as always.
Yep.
Sydney's a great city, great area I should say, and got to sort of see some of the town and relax a little bit, but it was a great convention overall, I thought.
Yeah, okay. Now you've obviously worked on in a lot of different mediums. Personally, I discovered your work through comics, big comic fan, and I think my first exposure to you would have been Rising Stars and then Midnight Nation, which were obviously, they were pretty exciting at the time. For me, Rising Stars came at a time where it just had so much kind of gravitas and drama in the storytelling. Characters died, every issue was meaningful. Can you tell us a bit about how that got that going, that idea?
Well, I was working, I just finished up Babylon 5, and I knew I wanted to do comics, and I went to Top Cow, and they said, what do you want to do? We'll just publish whatever it is. And
okay.
For me, it's always about relationships, and I wanted to see what in normal comics, like, Batman and the Joker, and what if they grew up in the same small town? What if Lex Luthor, Superman, grew up in the same small town? And they brought with them all those jealousies and personal histories. How would that inform a different kind of a story? And that led me to this one story about a small community that is hit by a force that gives everyone being born in the next few months powers.
Yeah.
And it just took off from there on its own.
Yeah. So they invited you in terms of what your idea was for an original idea. It wasn't difficult to get.
No, I actually sent emails out to 5 different publishers, and none of them believed it actually was from me.
Okay.
Because they thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Because I just finished up Babylon 5, and back then, TV show when I was doing the comics was very rare.
Yeah.
And so then finally Top Cow called and said, is this really JMS or is this a joke?
Right.
No, this is me. And I went in to see them and they said, what do you want to do? I told them, fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you've been doing some stuff for Marvel again. Is there anything you can talk about in terms of what's coming up that hasn't been announced yet? Or?
Well, I'm doing Captain America for Marvel currently. I have a 6-issue anthology coming out first part of next year.
Okay.
Other things that are working on that are still, for the time being withheld.
Yep.
But they're fun to work with.
And so obviously, how do you approach something differently like Midnight Nation? You've written Spider-Man, Captain America, obviously, and Squadron Supreme, those sorts of things. How does it feel to you jumping on board an established character with a lot of history versus something completely original that you're just kind of getting going yourself?
There's a lot of fun to taking on an established character because there's 60 years of history or 40 years of history, and the challenge is how do you do something different?
Yes.
So when I came on to Spider-Man, for instance, my challenge, my goal is to always find a corner of the story that no one's ever looked into before. So with Spidey, it was like, okay, we all know how he got his powers. Radioactive spider bites him, powers. But what no one ever asked was the question about the spider. Did it get hit by the radiation, gain the powers to give him to Peter, or was it already possessing the powers on its way to get to Peter before the radiation killed it? Because the second one implies intent.
Yeah.
Once you bring in intent, well, whose intent was it?
Sure.
Where does that come from? What does it mean? And that's how we got Ezekiel in the storyline, and that storyline birthed the Spider-Verse. By just asking a small question about a spider.
Just coming in from a new angle?
Different angle, yeah. No one ever thought of it before.
Yeah, that's cool. And just in terms of your work on TV, going back to Babylon 5, like the impression to me is that was just, that long form storytelling was just amazing because we'd kind of grown up on episodic week to week, and then you had Babylon 5, you had X-Files doing it just a little bit of a lesser degree. Buffy did it a little bit later. Kind of how did you approach? Like, was it hard in terms of network buy-in to take that? Like, you're going to have a beginning, middle, and an end, and you're going to have to invest a lot of time over seasons versus just having something that you can roll out week to week. How did that kind of go for you?
Well, because no one had ever done a 5-year arc before,
yeah.
no one understood what I was saying to them when I was saying it, because they would say, well, do you mean like a whole lot of two-parters?
Yeah.
No, that's not what it means. And trying to explain to Warner Brothers, they looked at me like a cat looks at a doorknob. You know, they know it does something, but they aren't quite sure exactly how it works.
Yeah.
And after the first year, they said, we don't understand what you're doing. But you seem to have an idea of where this is going.
Yeah.
We're going to leave you alone. We'll be in the car.
Okay.
So if you fail, it's all on you.
Okay.
Yeah. And after episode 4 of year 2, we never got another note.
So you had their support in a way.
Benign
neglect. You can do it,
benign,
but if it
benign
goes
neglect
bad,
and deniability.
yeah. Okay. All right. So, like, obviously, sci-fi TV's come a long way. We've got Star Wars has got a big presence on Disney, and then there's been a lot of new stuff since then. Do you sort of reflect on what you had to do with the technology and the budget in the when Bab 5 was going versus what they're doing these days, and how different it is? Does that just sort of kind of give you pause to think, like, we really had it tough. We had to do a lot with with not very much, and we got kind of.
When you don't have money, you have to use ingenuity.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the first season of our show, our budget was $650K per episode, which is Star Trek, but then was $2 million an episode.
Yes.
And that forced us to be more of a renegade. And sometimes too much money can actually hurt you in the long run, because you think, oh, we'll just throw money at the problem, and rather than applying story logic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that being said, though, I think we're in kind of a golden age lately of really good science fiction on television. Movies are in trouble, but there's been so much good science fiction on TV lately that I'm very happy about it.
Yeah. So my friends will kill me if I don't take the chance to ask you about the Bab 5 reboot.
Let them kill you then.
Maybe. All right.
I have no problem with that.
Okay. All right. Good. I won't push
All I'll
that
say
one.
is that right now everything in LA is frozen because
Right.
the streaming system is broken and no one knows how to replace it.
Yeah.
And right now the whole town, no one's buying anything, no one's showing pitches.
Okay.
It is all development is frozen, including us.
Right. Okay. All right. All right. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to us for a
Sure
few
thing.
minutes. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks
Definitely.
for travelling out to Perth.
My pleasure entirely. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right.